His.Story A space where kings feel safe to get things off their chests, where every conversation is a calculated play. On this platform, men come to claim their position on the board, to unpack their stories, confront their past, stand firm in their present, and strategize the next move to elevate their future. All without judgment. I'm your host, Tori Holiday, and I am the queen of this board.
Well, for me, that's kind of like a two-part question or statement to a certain extent. When I was young and had to observe or witness my mother being abused, and I know that I had to do something to protect her. That's when I got with me and my other two brothers, and I told them, if Dad come in drunk, and if he jump on Mama again, we're gonna have to do something. We're gonna have to do something to take care of that.
Were you the oldest, youngest, or middle?
Actually, I was the youngest, and I was telling them my two brothers, they was older than me, but I told them that I can't witness him taking advantage of her again like that. And it happened. He came in, he was drunk, and he went to swinging on her, hit in her mouth. And that's when I jumped on his back, and my other brother, he jumped, and so we jumped him. And I wanted to do some real bodily harm to him, but I think it was God, because I had to put a knife down here that I thought I was gonna have to use, but I didn't. But because of that incident, about a week or so later, that's when my mom, when my dad had left, she had made arrangement to for my aunt to come by and pick all us up. And we got on a train from Columbus, Georgia, and came to Atlanta. And that was the time that I felt that that protected me, but I felt unprotected until that happened, because I was with the mindset that we was going to be doing it then. We were going to have to teach Dad a lesson, because we weren't going to keep allowing him to abuse Mom like that. But then I knew Mom couldn't protect me, because she was smaller in stature and Dad was big, and she wasn't going to be able to, save us from him other than getting us out the house, so. But then later on in life, and through my lifestyle, and I ended up drinking and substance abuse and all that, I caught myself in some very not good situations, wherein I put myself in harm's way because of my substance use and the changes that I went through with all of that, and that was another time that I had to call on God. And that's how I ended up in recovery, because I was putting myself in harm's way and didn't understand how to save me. So I had to pray on it, and the bottom line is that that's how I ended up in recovery. And that just changed my whole life perspective. So now I can see my God as my protector.
You took it, bouncing off that's probably always been my biggest downfall, or I've always felt that I've been protected, or that I could do anything, right or wrong, indifferent or not, bad move, good move. It's like, and then it was asking how do the people around you play a part in it. I don't recall myself ever being a follower. I'm gonna go my own way. I'm gonna jump off that mountain. I'm gonna make it up this hill.
Right.
I'm gonna do what nobody else can do.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I'm saying? And even with that, and after my mom passed, I even feel more protected. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's good or bad or arrogant or grace, or my wife would call it grace.
It's just part of this human being chemistry that we inherited. It's just the way it is with how we make decisions. You know, sometimes it's coming from a field type perspective, how you feeling about certain things, you know. And I know when I do that, I can easily kind of get thrown off. I try to go with more of a spiritual kind of chemistry because that's more centered into more of a right kind of how you see things. And then what's even works a little better for me, I'm involved with different kind of recovery groups that help me out tremendously. So I don't necessarily just have to rely on how I feel about some things or think about some things. I get input from others with the same kind of mindset that can feed into, you know, how to make a better decision.
Yeah.
Some people have to bump their head. You
but
get
you
it.
show me how you
jump
bump
your head. You're not gonna hear my head. Right.
See what your
Right. See what your knot look like.
I can learn from your experience as well as my own.
Yeah.
That's why I like it.
Yeah. Being a middle child for me, I guess I had a opportunity to kind of what you just look at kind of other people and try not to make the same mistakes they made. But overall in my life, I think that I my whole life, or most of my life, is intermittently, but feels unprotected. And I say that because I don't know, just kind of going through, you know, with my dad not being in the house, my hero not being there. It's like I always have to just kind of figure stuff out myself. Okay. So I spend a lot of time with myself, and I just kind of think my way through stuff. So that's why sometimes it's kind of slow for me to process stuff, so that I can make a good decision. Right. You know, because I'm not as graced.
Right.
You know, like Doc over there. You know, because I feel like
I was gonna say so.
The bad decisions that I made, you know, it can be kind of catastrophic, even if it affects, you know, me. I think more so it could affect my kids, especially when they was younger. Right. But like you, I mean, I wouldn't put too much pressure on people. Like even with my mom, I would try to look to her for protection, you know, whether it's just giving advice or something. Right. But I had to realize, you know, because she's my mother and she's not a male, she doesn't totally understand what I'm going through. Right. Even to the day, you know, we kind of have our disagreements to agree. Right. You know, just so that, you know, we can kind of find a middle ground. Right. But yeah, even still today, I kind of look towards older males, or, you know, or males that's living the life that I look at as being positive. Right. I go and talk to them. Mm-hmm. You know, just like, you know, with all these different trades that I know how to do, and I tell my kids, whatever you want to learn how to do, find somebody that's doing it. Right. You know, find you about 2-3 people, you know, and that'll help you make a decision on trying to, you know, decide whether or not that's something you want to do or not. But definitely, I you know, I just feel like being unprotected, that's, for me, I think it's just something that I just kind of intermittently go through. Right. You know, and I just kind of get myself, you know, through those times, through meditating and just being in a quiet place, which goes back to me being in my house by myself is peaceful.
Your quiet place.
I need that quietness in order for me to figure out
what's your next
different
move
problems, you know, or if kids call me, okay, how can I do this? You know, as a man, I'm just a natural problem solver.
Right.
You know, I know sometimes I have to cut that off. Yeah. You know, you're talking to, you know, women. They don't want you to solve the problem. Same with us.
Same with us.
You know,
just be quiet sometimes.
you know, but that's kind of how my experience and my thoughts on being.
Yeah, and I agree with you with that. That's why, I have a man cave. So a lot of time when I get off of work, my wife's still trying to figure this out because she's just the opposite. She wants me to deal with everything I need to deal with out there, so when I come home, I'm at home.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. But see, for me, and has once been single all my life, like I said, I got married when I was 60. So what I'm saying, my routine was to come home from work,
Sit down.
not necessarily unwinding, but kind of
do you.
sort of.
Woosah.
Okay, and then I can
Work
get
on
my head
getting it.
adjusted,
Yeah.
then I go back out. You see. But now, like I said, she want me to kind of take care of all the business I need to do while I'm out. And from work, go and do this and do that, and then when I come home, I'm down.
Sounds hard.
And it was real challenging.
Yeah.
But now she's allowed me to we come to an agreement. I got to come home and check in,
So,
but then I go down to the cave.
that's your getaway.
That's my getaway. She upstairs, I'm downstairs. So I can go and do what I need to do
In
to
your
get my
mind.
mind straight.
I think a lot of women don't get that. I mean, I don't
I ain't trying to be selfish,
Yeah.
but I had to be
you
selfish
have to
for
be
that moment.
to an
those
extent
moments
in order
with
to
my
clear your
mind.
mind and to get on the right path. You trying to go.
Right.
Because if we catching it out there, and women do too, not taking nothing away from them.
I agree. They do. They catch it
strong.
too.
We got some of the strongest. All the women in my family, I love them to death. They strong. They, you know what I'm saying. They don't talk back. They ain't taking that shit. Blah blah woo woo. Right. But they have their man now until a certain extent. But still, in our mind, and even mine, that's why I like chess. I can get in here in this chessboard and sit here and play 4 or 5 hours. I done got off of work or whatever, but this takes my mind totally off everything else.
Right.
I ain't gotta. I gotta focus.
Yeah.
I think somebody said I had ADHD or something. I don't know.
probably
But
do.
I probably do. But hey, but I can play this chess game. Right.
But
it's
that's a good thing,
Yeah,
though.
recognize them. You know what I'm saying?
The key to what I'm really learning is how well do you know yourself? You know what I mean? How well do you know you? How well do I know me?
I know I can't lie to myself.
I'm still learning me, things about me. I'm still evolving, from things and understanding of once upon a time to things and understanding about now times. Because when I tell you these are the most challenging times for me in my life, because so many things above us is so unstable. It's never been, I feel, this stable. I know in my life that you can't depend on government to a certain extent to handle certain kind of government business, people business. You know what I mean?